of this section already, way back when it was
It's mine. It's my homework. Turn it in.
September maybe, end of September, early October. We did a few of these where we talked a little bit about how we can write equations given specific values of vertex and stuff like that. So we got to go back and look at a couple of the different forms of quadratics equations. One of the ways that we looked at quadratic equations, we had y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That was standard form, I believe we called it. Then we had, what was it, vertex form, I believe? Hey, how's everybody doing? Are you guys surviving? No? It's okay. You're all right. Are you making it? You guys doing okay? We're doing all right? Don't cry, Mom. It's just a math test.
Hey,
You're going to be all right.
Hi, Polly.
I know it. You guys making it all right? No? Your heads aren't exploding yet? It's like... Hey, Gun. They're taking the AP, practice AP test right now.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. One of the stats that Mr. Fontana has shown, and I think he came to talk to us one time, I thought, right? Where he said that is, you guys go into AP Calc and all that. He said that at least 90% of his kids get a 3 on the AP test.
That's pretty good.
5. And now community colleges, or actually not just community college, all state schools in Illinois are going to take a 3 on the AP Calc test.
Yeah, all state schools.
So that's pretty sweet.
But I want to go out of state.
Well, they get better than a 3. Yes, sir. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you fail half of the questions.
You can. You know what? I think I told you. I never took the AP test.
Weekly?
What's that?
Is that
Probably
bad?
weekly?
Is that bad?
No, because back then we didn't really.
Care.
Well, it wasn't so much that we cared. It's just I was in calculus and all that, but it was. You could take the test, but I don't know if it was so much if you got as much credit as you did nowadays for it. So, but anyway, the other form I almost forgot what it looked like. So it's y equals a x minus h quantity squared plus k. That was vertex form. Yes, sir.
You said that 95%?
I think it was 90%.
So it's
3 or better.
10%, oh, 3 or better.
Yeah. And then,
Which one? That's the vertex form, right?
yeah. I don't think we called it H and K for the it was P's and Q's. So that's what it was. I almost forgot what it was.
X minus P.
This was vertex form, and then this one was intercept form. And that's where P and Q's were your zeros. What did the value of A always help to show? Do you remember that?
All the positive numbers.
Yeah. What does it show for a quadratic? Up or down? It's up like a cup, down like a brown. That's what A's do. Okay. So your A values allow you to do that. H and K gives you your vertex. Obviously, it's the opposite H, and then it'll be the value of K, and from there. So what we were able to do was, and we did some of these, well, we would write the quadratic in vertex form given a point and the vertex. A lot of substituting in, you guys would want up solving for what? Do you remember this? You're solving for A, very good. So if you're given your H and K at 2, -3, and you have another point at 4 and 1, what you're doing is you're substituting in and solving for A to write out the formula, to write out the function. So you would say that 1 equals A, 4 minus 2 quantity squared, minus 3. Okay? And if I'm not mistaken, this is the part where a lot of you guys tend to make a mistake. What's 4 minus 2? What's 2 squared? 4. Now remember, that value of 4 is multiplied by A. I remember you guys, some of you guys were combining that right away.
Okay.
And you get 1 for your value of A. Which then you'd be able to go ahead and write out the equation. Knowing that the value of A is 1, you would just get y equals x minus 2, quantity squared minus 3. And that would have been your answer. It wasn't a very difficult approach to set up a problem. It was really, really straightforward. It was just pretty much straightforward plug and chug. Same deal goes for when you did ones in intercept form. Can I go to a clean one? When you guys did one in intercept form, you had your intercepts. Oops. We had our intercepts, and then we had another point. Once again, you were still trying to identify what the value of A was. So if you had intercepts at -2 and 3, and I'm using the intercept form, that means I would have, if the 0 is at -2, what's my term?
What's the number two?
If -2 is the 0, yeah, then it would be +2 in here. If +3 is the 0, the
No,
term would have
negative.
been -3.
Okay.
Remember, we did a lot of that. If you had a 0, then we did the opposite for the term and going through there. And then again, it's just a matter of substituting back in. Our other ordered pair was -1 and 2. So I have -1 here, -1 here, and then it's equals 2. So I have to figure out what -1 plus 2 is.
I'll figure it out.
Good luck. Did you get that? So what's 2 divided by -4? Gives you your value of A, and we substitute back in. And that would have been our function for the quadratic. Remember, these things are nice because once you get your equation, can't you just go back to your table to double check, see if that point's in it?
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about these. You can always double check your answers. Okay? You can always double check your answers. Remember we did this?
I know.
Remember we did this in the long form? When you had just 3 ordered pairs. If you think about when you have 3 ordered pairs, and we're using it in standard form, that's when you have ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. And if I have these 3 ordered pairs, I have 3 sets of x's and y. Which means I can wind up solving 3 equations for 3 variables. I can solve for A, B, C. And it winds up being a very nasty system of equations. But what we did here was this. We wrote -1 squared times A plus -1 times B plus C equals 5. I'm substituting x and y into this. And I do it again. 0 squared times A plus 0 times B plus C equals 3. 3 squared times A plus 3 times B plus C is 9. Now this is a 3x3 matrix, or excuse me, 3x3 system of equations. 3 equations, 3 variables. Believe it or not, this one's really easy to solve because what's C? 3. Right away, C has to be 3. So you're able to set up real quick, and then you can get 2 variables, 2 equations, and do some substitutions and solve this without too much of a hassle. But there's an easier way to do this.
When you got
Use a button.
Why is C3?
Oh.
What's 0 times A? It's 3. Those two go away, you might have C3. Okay. There's an easier way to do this. What we can do here is, and I think we did this, is we create what's called an inverse matrix. Okay. Now, in your calculator, you have a button that creates the matrix. Alpha zoom. Remember, we did this pretty quick here. And I know we did this earlier in the semester, it just kind of comes back in the modeling because there are some parts that show up again.
You go 3 by 3.
We're going to go 3 by 3.
Wait, how do you do
Alpha zoom, I believe. Bless you. And what we're doing here is that, excuse me, what we're going to do is we have to first of all figure out our coefficients when they're squared. So what's negative 1 squared? 1. So you know this is going to be a 1a, and this is going to be a 9a. Everybody okay with that? The other one's obviously going to be 0. So that's about all the math that you really need to do. So what we do is we're going to take the coefficients of this system. 1, negative 1, and 1. All 3 of the values of C have a coefficient of 1. Are we okay with that?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
This is how matrices works.
Math.
Matrices work using the coefficients to eliminate other values.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, coefficient of C would be 1.
Isn't the third one always one?
Yeah. Yeah, because we don't have, there's no x value in front of it. That was the trick from before.
Oh,
This one would be 0, 0, 1. This would be 9, 3, and 1. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to think about is how do you undo an operation? In order to undo some operation, you always do their inverse. Okay. So same thing works with matrices. In order for us to do an operation, what I want you to do is think of this as AX equals B. In order to solve for x, you'd have to take the inverse of A. So x would equal the inverse of A times B. Well, our value of B here is going to be what we call a column matrix. Okay? But what we have to do now, since you did your alpha zoom for this matrix, correct? What you have to do is raise it to the negative 1 power to multiply by its inverse to the next column matrix of 5, 3, 9.
After I put in the negative 1, I have to do another one.
Yep,
wait.
This one's a 1 by 1.
3 rows. It's 3
No,
rows.
it's not.
It's rows by column. So it should be a 3 by 1. And what's nice is that if you accidentally do a 1 by 3, it'll show the picture of it, and you'll go, oh crap, I did the wrong one. You'll reverse it and do the other one. Okay. Does that make sense?
Take it, Kobe.
I think it's a 3 by. It should be 3 by 1. So if we do an alpha zoom,
Yeah, that's it.
ah,
So I'm going to hit enter.
yeah, hit enter. You should get 3 numbers.
Yeah.
You should get 3 numbers in a row.
Yeah.
Negative 3. 3. Or 1, negative 1, 3.
So your answer was 1
Negative 1.
and
3.
so this means this is A, B, and C.
Yeah, so
think
what
I
was
did
it?
this right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Did you miss a negative?
So we go. And is it 1 by 3 or 3 by 1?
Just 3 by 1.
Oh,
There's your problem.
Ah ha ha. Got
Wait,
it.
is it one row, 3 column?
See? Being a nice question.
It's 3 by 1.
Trying.
3 rows, 1 column.
I think
Right,
it's
Bells?
the opposite.
Huzzah.
Ah ha ha, you sucker.
Wait,
Gotcha.
hold on, what are we doing? Hold up.
Is your day going well? Good, I'm glad. Let me get your trash for you.
thank you.
Just by
Well, that's
enter?
right. Because I love
Yes,
the
sir.
earth.
1, negative 1.
I know.
Can you even recycle that in school?
think we do.
I think we tried to recycle.
They tell us they recycle.
I don't know.
I think
Who's
that-
a reporter? You're
They
a
don't.
reporter.
They don't recycle.
You need to do investigative reporting to see if they actually do recycle.
They
Oh
don't.
no, the janitors look
They
so
dump
mad.
it in that big green trash can and then they take it to the dump. They don't even recycle it.
It would be, I believe that big green trash can is called a dumpster.
We should do a fraud investigation.
We should, and just like,
You know,
just, I don't know what would happen.
walk around in the shadows wearing a derby hat, trench coat.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Why does that have to be dirty? Like, can't it just be like a dark color and clean?
I said derby.
Oh, I thought you said dirty. You know, I use it to change seats in all my other classes.
So that's telling me something for here, right? You want to do one more of those real quick?
No.
Okay. So let's talk about quadratic regression then with using the calculator. It's going to look a whole lot like what you did yesterday with the linear regression,
We'll use quadratic.
but you're going to use quadratic regression.
Easy.
So what I want to do is look at the table. House prices in Suffolk County, Massachusetts for the various years T since 1988. So year 0 would be
165.
1988. 2 years after that would have been,
1990.
wow, you guys are SMRT. So now let's do a L1 and an L2 of this data set.
Second, memory 4. I think
Wait, are we using the actual years?
No, just you can do 0 because then in your data you know that in year 2, 4, 6, you're just adding that to 1988. Remember, you have to clear out everything that you had in the calculator. Make sure your y equals is clear. Make sure your L1 and L2s are clear by doing your second memory clear all lists.
Wait, so do we put him as 1988?
I just go 0, 2. I mean, you can if you want to do 1988, you'll have to mess with your window then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So let's see. We have to do a stat edit.
that's what's
Oh.
good.
0, 2, 4, 6, 10.
That's actually fast, but kind of like in the cover.
Shut up, boy.
I just missed the button.
Boy, this data looks like it goes down and comes back up.
Whoa.
What
Random.
Oh, no, what do we do?
Uh-oh.
So now we need to look at a graph of this, which means we should probably adjust our window. Since we are looking at our stat plot, when we go to our second y equals to our stat plot to turn it on, your x list and your y list, if you put your, excuse me, if you put the L1 as your year since, make sure you put that as your x. That'll be your x column. That will be your y. Yes, ma'am.
I think I messed up my calculator.
Reset it. You want to do that? Hard reset. Second plus 712, and then do a second plus 722. And that'll reset everything, and then it'll restore all the defaults. Okay. So from here, then you'll have to mess around with your window. Now, my window, I would probably put at between 0 and, well, maybe I'll go like -2, -2 to 12.
I said 0 and 10.
That's fine. I mean, you can do 0 to 10. My scale here shouldn't be so bad. I'll just go by ones. It shouldn't be a big deal. My y values, well, the highest it goes up to is 165. So maybe go from 0. Oops.
0, 170.
Yeah.
And then when I find out.
You go up 5.
And then if I hit graph,
What did you go up 5?
I like it.
Ah, gotcha.
Now we're doing
What?
rad.
Wait, hold on.
So I actually changed mine a little bit to like a between my y values between 110 and 170, just so I can see the curve a little bit nicer. So in this data set, it starts up, works its way down, and works its way back up.
Wow.
Gee, what do you think this might be? Well, we're in
Parabola.
quadratic, so I'll show you, there'll be a difference when we look at cosine stuff later. Alright.
It's a parabola.
It's parabola. So let's figure out how to do the line of curve, of best fit. What button do you think we're gonna, yes ma'am.
Airmite.
What button do you think we're gonna press next? Stat.
And then you go to front.
Then we're gonna go to calculate. What do you want to calculate? Well, today I'd like to calculate quadratic regression. Gee, which one of those do you think is quadratic regression? The one that says quad reg or the one that says cubic reg?
Why?
Why?
Blues.
Yesterday there was a
And then
quiz
this
on
is
the park.
giving me A, B's, and C
There was a
values.
question on the park about whether it was like a linear one like that.
Yeah, that's
I
what-
just picked linear because that was the only one I knew.
I heard
Oh,
there's some of this
yeah.
stuff, and we'll probably, I think next year when we go through this stuff, we're gonna bring in this regression modeling into each of the units themselves. That way, when people take the park test, they'll actually remember or know what it meant by then. So did you get A values of 1.83, a B value of negative 19.55, and a C value of 172 and change?
Uh-huh.
There's your equation.
Wait,
Got it.
was B negative?
Is that it?
Negative 19, yes.
That pick helped.
Because then you have that equation, which means you can utilize that equation to identify and predict what the sale price would be in the year of 1995. It's exciting. So years since 1988 to 1995 would mean that would be how many years?
7.
7.
Evan.
So your x value would be 7. So all you do is just write down your equation, substitute in 7. Okay? And then you can use this to predict the housing prices will reach 200,000. How would you do a prediction? Put in your y equals, right? Put in your table. Does that make sense?
Love calculators.
Calculator stuff when you're doing this is pretty slick. It's pretty nice what it can do for you. Okay?
I figure out
It's
how
really
to
nice.
So you just
wire
put
those on a
each-
calculator.
Those numbers
Put in 7 for X.
Yeah, y equals
Okay.
1.83x.
And then you would use your function and throw it into a y equals table to predict when it's going to equal 200. But remember, it's doing it in terms of thousands, so you're just looking for when it equals 200. Okay?
I think we got it.
Really not that difficult, I hope.
I think we're ready for some problems.
All right. Well, let's see here. Which one's that? All right.
Let's get it. Look at that handwriting, man. That's some serious handwriting.
No, it wasn't sarcastic at all.
See which ones they had.
Dryness.
It's reminded me.
Yes. I don't know. Spit it up.
Hold on, let me make sure these are which ones I want.
That looks nice. Yeah. Who's that?
I was right. You guys want to see it? Huh? What? What's that?
What page is this?
Odds.
Okay. Okay. You guys ever see the remake of the Little Rascals?
No.
There's
Never
a
mind.
remake of the
I
Little
never.
Rascals.
They cannot remake that movie.
Little Rascals is not
Little Rascals movie,
No.
what came out like the actual 90, it came out in 94. My kids watched it for the first time the other day, and they were in tears. They were laughing so hard. So
When they chase the dogs.
Because it's hilarious.
it is. It's just like slapstick, silly humor and like fart jokes. It's just really funny.
You guys
I
seeing
got
the
two.
bubbles are coming out? They're
Yeah.
better than that.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, that's all I need. When we start, I'm sure next time the kids have bubbles outside, they're gonna try to do that.
I thought that kid, that like, the rich kid or whatever, I thought that was, man, I thought it was the same kid that played,